and welcome back to my channel. So today it is my my October wrap up and my November TBR. It's the 2nd of November. I'm filming this later in the evening and I just want to get it out there. I think I just got the community tab. If I've had it, I didn't realize it, but I asked y'all on the community tab in a poll if you wanted to see the two videos together or separately, the wrap up and then the TBR. And one day it was saying separately, the other day it was saying combine them. So the last I checked before filming this is that y'all wanted them combined, but it was like a 49-51% vote. So I'm just going to combine them because it will probably be pretty short for the wrap up. So let's go ahead, let's get into my October wrap up and then I'll get into what I want to read for November. It's going to be actually, instead of a TBR, it's more so going to be like a piles of possibilities because there's a lot that I want to read. Don't know how much time I'll have to read all of it, but it's more of a piles of possibilities. So let's get into October's wrap up. Okay, so the first book that I started out the month with, and I buddy read this with Bethany Brings Books, and it's so funny because I kind of buddy read this with my mom. See, that's the fun thing about my mom being so into reading again, is that I tell her, oh mom, what about this book, you know, or whatever, and I talk to her about these books that I'm going to be reading or I've read, and then she wants to hop on the bandwagon with me. So that's really fun. So we kind of buddy read it, me, Bethany, and my mom. But it's Autumn by the Sea by Melissa Tagg. This is technically my first Melissa Tagg book. I did read like a novella on Kindle Unlimited to one of her series on there, and I didn't fully finish it, but I rated it. But I know in my head that I didn't finish it, and I eventually want to go and finish it when I eventually read the other two books in the series. So technically I've read part of a book by Melissa Tagg, but this is my very first book technically by her, reading it fully. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, but I was just denying the hype around this book. It's been out for like a year, maybe two, I'm not sure, but I was denying the hype around this. I don't know why. I think it's because it's like, oh, it's just not as good as what everyone's saying. Guys, I don't know why I did that. And so I actually wasn't going to read it. But then I read the back of it, and then I kept seeing friends mention it on bookstagram, and I just was like, you know what? I'm doing it. It was free on Kindle Unlimited. I don't even know how we came about the buddy read. Oh, I sent her this book, and then she asked me if I wanted to buddy read it with her, and that's how we did it. Guys, I know I've said this a lot because this was my year. I'm coming up on my year anniversary of reading pretty much solely Christian clean fiction. And I've had a lot of 5-star top favorite books ever. But when I truly think about, go through and look at all the books I've read for this year, this is definitely, it might be top 5, definitely top like 8. It's phenomenal. I truly don't think I would change anything about this book. It's about this girl, and what's her name? Sydney Rose. And she is, I guess, an orphan. Like, she was never adopted, I don't think. She lives on her own. She has a brother that's not really her brother, but he came to the same foster home when he was little at the same time as she was at the same foster home. And he was just this little kid, and ever since she had him under his wing, and she has him, but he's very nomadic, like he's just around all these different places. He's very scattered. He's just not consistent in her life. And she's a waitress. Long story short, there's this other family across the country, and this woman, Maggie, who is older, she's like, I think in her 60s or 70s, she is searching for her daughter's daughter. So, and she suspects that Sydney Rose is her daughter's daughter, so they think that Sydney is Maggie Murr's granddaughter. And she has this PI go find her and bring her back. That's not spoiling anything, it's just giving you a little preface to how it starts. I can't even tell you the feelings that this book brought me. It was so beautifully written, the humor, the romance, and the romance ended up being a romance that I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be somebody else, and it ended up being another person. Oh, and I love him. I love him. The male character in this was everything. I love him, and I love Sydney Rose. I just love her countenance and just her spirit, and I love the Murr family, and I do. I love it. I don't want to say anything else. It's a beautiful story. There's even some moments with some of the people in the town that this takes place in that gave me Gilmore Girl vibes. I love this book. I didn't want it to end. There's a second one called The Seaside Wonder. I can't wait to read it, and I'm just so blown away by Melissa Tagg's writing and these characters. I love it. I can't say enough great things. The romance was beautiful, but there was enough, like, it was not like shallow. It was very, to my opinion, it was deep within. It was based on who that person was. It wasn't superficial. And then the love and the aspect of family and forgiveness and belonging. It was truly beautiful. This would make, in my opinion, a wonderful movie. So I love it. I love the Murs. I love Sydney Rose. I love her love interest so much. And BTW, Amanda, if you're watching this, he's Scottish. So y'all, highly recommend. 5-star. Cannot wait to read more about Melissa Tagg. Then I listened to 2 audiobooks. One was Cinder Nanny by Soraya Wilson. I gave that a 3-star. It wasn't my favorite. I know some of my friends really enjoy it. I personally didn't love it. I found the main girl character very, just honestly annoying. At one point I would like it, and then the next, like, she was very contradictory. Like, she would get upset with herself when she would be doing something that wasn't right, like lying. And she held very deep wounds for her mother, who lied all the time, but yet she was going and doing the same thing her mother did, but was excusing what she was doing because it was for a good cause, which it truly was. But I just found it very contradictory, and I just didn't find her very lovable. I don't even know how to describe it. I just really didn't connect with her. And then the love interest, like, he was supposed to be like English, and I mean, he was okay. I think the writer was trying to make him really swoony, like with his British accent and all this stuff, and it just wasn't quite hitting the mark for me. I wouldn't read it again or listen to it again, but I mean, if the thought of a nanny sparking interest in, like, he's not a duke, but he's like a lord or something from England, and that whole thing and the drama that can go with that from him being famous and then her just being a nanny, you might really like the idea of this book. I loved the sounds of it. It just didn't pique my interest. Like, I almost DNF'd it at one point just because I found myself not interested at all. Actually, the people that I really loved in this story was the side characters. So the little boy that she nannies, and then the little boy's mother. I loved them. I loved the little boy. He was funny. He was a little bit of a hypochondriac, poor thing, but he was cute and funny. And then the mom was so sweet and loving and very gracious to, I think the main girl character is Diana. But yeah, I didn't love the main characters, and I really didn't connect. And then I listened to A Cliche Christmas on Audible as well by Nicole Deese. It was very cute, very much Hallmark vibes, and this was like an older book, I guess, by Nicole. It's not like a newer one, and compared to her newer ones, which I've read, the writing seemed quite different, not in a bad way at all. Like, I can totally tell Nicole Deese's writing in her new stuff, but in this book, it gave very much Becky Wade vibes to me, which, don't get me wrong, I love Becky Wade. Becky Wade's the queen of Christian romance. But it was so cute, and it was just different for me than what I've listened to for Nicole, and it was very almost Hallmark vibes. So she did a great job. I gave it a 4-star. It was really lovable. I enjoyed it, and it did get me in the mood for Christmas. So it's about this woman, Georgia, and she is like this producer or writer in Hollywood, and she comes back home to her hometown, and her old childhood best guy friend Weston is, there, and she has this old grudge with him. When she graduated high school, something happened, and it like broke the friendship, and she still had a grudge over it, and she went to go back home to be with her grandma over the holidays, because like her grandma calls her up and is like, I need you to come back home to help, you know, with something. And she agrees, leaves LA, goes home, sees, you know, this guy and then Weston, and she still has that grudge held against them, but like she's, you know, he's so cute, but I'm mad at him. And then very much Hallmark vibes. And then yeah, and it's just about her basically helping with this play for the community to help support this little girl that has cancer, to help her family as they go through that time together. And it happens around Thanksgiving and then goes up until Christmas. It was really cute. I really don't have any negatives. I mean, it wasn't a 5-star as in, wow, it touched me so deeply. It was just a cute little Christmas romance. It was still a great book, and I love Nicole Deese, and I can't wait to read more of her backlog. 4 stars, solid, and you should check it out if you're interested. It's just a really light, quick read. Then the last book I read this month was A Voice in the Wind, and I'm doing a reading vlog on this. If it's not going to be up before this because I just filmed the ending for the vlog right before I filmed this. Oh, it's going to be up hopefully this weekend, but you'll see all my feelings and thoughts on it. 5-star book, and I'm not saying that to say it to go along with hype or anything. It's truly a 5-star book. I know there's a lot of controversy with Francine Rivers and her writing, but she discusses topics and times in life that most people are too afraid to write about, and nothing in this with sexual content was over the top to me by any means. Some people say like some of the sexual content is too much. To me, it wasn't at all. I mean, there was some descriptions of things of like Greek gods and goddesses because it is in Roman times, but like the Roman Empire and all that. But I mean, it's nothing that I was like, oh, I shouldn't read this. There's a lot, you know, trigger warnings. There is a lot of very hard topics within this book. But again, it's one of those books that I feel like you should at least try and read. I'm not gonna lie, the first like 120 pages were extremely slow to me. But like chapter 8 got my full-blown attention. And then from then on there was a couple slower chapters, but you really, I know I say that a lot, but you do need the background for all of this for it to culminate into the ending that it does, and the message that Francine delivers. And it was beautiful. It stirred my heart, and it's a 5-star. So if you want more of a, I guess, in-depth reaction and review to this, go check out my reading vlog when it goes up, and when it does come up and publish, I will link it below whenever I post it. But yeah, and I don't talk too much about like what the story itself is actually about in the reading vlog, and it's because if anyone wants to go in blind, I don't want them to feel like they can't watch my review or watch this wrap-up video. I think that's the best way to go in, is just go in blind. Just know that there's heavy topics in this, and if you need to know what those trigger warnings are, by all means go look at, you know, trigger warnings on Goodreads or anything like that. But I personally did not, because I just went in expecting heaviness. But beautifully written, and I loved it. So this month was pretty slumpy for me. I read, you know, 5-star Autumn by the Sea. I was in love with that book. I read it in like 2 or 3 days, and then I was listening to the audiobooks, and honestly Cinder Nanny kind of did put me in a slump. I think that's why I was so slumpy. I was like, ugh, like I didn't love the book, and it kind of put me in a slump. And then I wasn't even in the mood to like read A Voice in the Wind, and then I saw like Amanda and a few other people had started reading it, and I was like, oh, it's a part of the readathon. I really wanted to participate and try to do it. And then I started it, but like in between then, I just listened to those 2 audiobooks. I just was in such a slump, but thankfully I don't feel that way anymore. So that's my wrap up. So technically I read physically 4 books, or 2 books, and then listened to 2. So technically 4 for the month. It is pretty low, but again, I'm not putting pressure on myself to read a whole lot of books just for content purposes. If I have a slow, slumpy month like this month, that's okay. That's life. That's going to happen. But I'm hoping this month is much better. I have some time off from work, so I'm hoping to get some reading in. And I was also very distracted by crochet this month. I started to learn to crochet this month, and so I was quite distracted on the weekends with my projects. So please forgive me, but I'm learning balance. We'll go on to my pile of possibilities for November. I have a lot of favorites here. Favorite authors, and I'm very excited. Okay, so the first book that I'm listening to it. It's A Mistletoe Countess by Pepper Basham, and I'm doing a buddy read with a couple booktubers on here. So Bethany Brings book, A Lovely Day with Holly, Oshina Gotta Read 'Em All. Who else? Caitlin from Chronicles of a Book Nerd. Who else? That might be it. Oh, I hope I didn't forget anybody. I don't think so. So yeah, those are the group of us that's doing that. And so far, it's really cute. I'm listening to it. I was going to buy the physical and read it, but I already had the audiobook because I love the way the audiobook narrator sounded. So I went ahead and did that. So far so good. And then I did start, I don't have it with me, but I started An Echo in the Darkness. I was not going to start the second book yet by Francine in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. After Voice in the Wind, I was going to take a little bit more time in between. But guys, it was the biggest cliffhanger of my life. And I was honestly mourning and kind of like on a book hangover after finishing that book last night, because I was like, oh my heart. But then my mom started reading the second one this evening, and I got home and she was like, Bailey, you have to start this. So what did I do? I started it. And I'm already reading it pretty quickly. I'm like almost on page 50 already, and I just had been reading it for like a little over an hour. So I'm reading those two books, and then the next book that I plan on reading, which this will be the end of the month, I am buddy reading this with Miriam Elizabeth Reed's, my girl. I love Miriam with all my heart. She is so sweet, and I'm so excited. There has been a lot of hype around this book since I had gotten it in book mail and talked about it. It's Catching Christmas by Terry Blackstock. Sounds so great. This was also in my Christmas TBR/Rex video that I posted a couple weeks ago. Cannot wait to read this. I'm definitely reading that one. And then I started this in October, but I got so caught up in A Voice in the Wind that I've only read a few chapters. It's My Jesus by Ann Wilson. It's a nonfiction, and it's basically about how God worked in her life through a tragedy that she went through as a teenager. I'm just so excited to finish this. It's pretty small, so I'm for sure reading that and getting through it this month. And then the rest are more so like my mood reads, like the books that I'm looking at right now and I just am really in the mood to read. One of them is downstairs, so I'll put the picture in here. I didn't realize I didn't bring it up with me. And I think it's Secrets by Robin Jones Gunn. I think it's Secrets. It's the first book in the Glenbrook series. That is a series that I have not read by Robin Jones Gunn, and I'm so excited to just pick up a new book to me. It's not new. It's like from the 90s or 80s, I think. But a new book to me from Robin Jones Gunn. She writes Christian fiction, and I think this is romance. I just love Robin, and so I'm so excited to pick this up. I was going to start it this evening, but then my mom was like, you have to start the second book, so in A Mark of the Lion trilogy. And then the next book that I really want to read is It Had to Be You by Susan May Warren, and this is the second book in the Christensen family series. I've missed this family. I've only read the first book, but gosh, I have almost all the books. They're back here behind those books. I have almost all the books except for like 2 of them to complete the series, and I think there's 6, and then the 7th one is a Christmas novella. But this is about Eden and her love interest, so Eden Christensen and then her love interest. Pretty sure it's a hockey romance. I really want to get to this. I just miss Susan May Warren and her writing and her characters, so I really hope to get to that this month. And then the next one is a book that I got from the library book sale that I went to last month, and it's Before I Saw You by Amy K. Sorrells. And I even read the description in my Cozy Fall vlog about this book. Essentially, it's about this girl who is pregnant, and she hasn't come to terms with the fact that she is pregnant. It seems to me that she has a pretty hard life, and the life around her is very dim, and I think it's her journey through accepting that she's going to have a baby, and then, you know, looking at her circumstances around her and what she's going to do regarding that. It just really captured my interest when I read it, the back, and it's a large print, so hopefully it wouldn't take me too long to get through. Then the next one is like an old friend, Becky Wade. We love our Becky Wade. Let It Be Me by Becky Wade. This is the second book in her Misty River series. I hate that there's a sticker there, but that's okay. And I loved Stay With Me by Becky Wade. It's the first one in the Misty River series, and one of the like prequel novella, Take a Chance on Me, I think is what it's called, is super good. I really like Stay With Me. I did end up giving it a 5-star. It was a little slower for me, but the end and the whole the redemption and forgiveness pushed it to be a 5-star for me. So I have very high hopes for this one. I know several of the people that I follow and that also love Becky Wade really enjoyed this book, and I'm just very excited. It's been a couple months since I've read a Becky Wade book. I think the last book I read by her was Stay With Me, and like there for a while I was reading like a Becky Wade book like almost every week, because, or at least every month, because a lot of them were free on Kindle Unlimited, and that's how I started reading them. I love Becky Wade. She's like home to me. Her writing and her characters are like home to me. So I'm so excited to read this. Then the next one is Shadows of Swanford Abbey by Julie Klassen, and I recently hauled this one as well in my last video, maybe. And this is just a murder mystery plus a romance. It's historical Christian fiction, and it's about this lady, Rebecca, that goes to an abbey to do a favor for her brother, and then a murder happens while she's there, and then so does an old love interest. So I'm really excited for this. But honestly guys, there's more that I want to read, but I haven't included them, like Lulu's Cafe up here. This book, An Unlikely Proposal by Tony Shiloh, I would love to get to this too. So obviously I'm not in my slump anymore. There's a lot of books that I really want to read right now. So I'm praying An Echo in the Darkness ends in a way that keeps spurring me on to read more. I feel really hopeful about this month. I kind of flopped with the whole Christian Journey Through the Bible readathon, and I hate that because I wanted to stick to it so badly, but it just didn't happen, and that's okay. But I still want to read all those books that I mentioned, like The Promise of Rain by Nicole Deese. Can't wait to read that too. I would love to get to that one as well. So this is my piles of possibilities. Let me know if you've read any of these books or which ones you think I should start with after I finish An Echo in the Darkness. I hope y'all enjoyed this. It's actually ended up being such a long video, so I want to try to condense this down, get this out to you all, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching and being here. And I'll also have an update on my subscribers giveaway that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. I've had such an influx in subscribers that I think I'm almost to 300 subscribers, and I'm blown away. So I think I'm going to alter it a little bit and pick 2 giveaway winners, just because I've had such an influx in new subscribers, and I just really want to bless y'all because y'all have blessed me so much. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.